Alright, y'all, so we are around 25 games into the NBA season at this point. Although we're not even halfway through the season, it's enough games to make some early conclusions. In this video, I will be talking about the top 3 contenders from each conference. As far as I'm concerned, this year, it's changed a lot since years past. I mean, in years past, we thought the Nets might be contenders, the 76ers can be contenders. Maybe in the Western Conference, we thought of multiple other teams being contenders other than the Warriors and the Grizzlies. But this year, it kind of looks like a mediocre fest in the West. Other than that, let's get straight into it. So first of all, let's look at the standings in the West real quick, okay? The Pelicans, yes. The New Orleans Pelicans are on top of the league right now, 16-8. Yeah, they have a better record than the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Nuggets. The Kings are the 5th seed right now. The Jazz are the 6th seed. And yeah, do you think any of this stuff will suffice? Maybe, maybe not, but it doesn't matter. Most of these teams that are up in the top of the conference right now in the West are by no means contenders. So in the end of the day, they can have as many regular season wins as they want, but they're going to perform just like the Utah Jazz in the playoffs. You're either out in the first round or the second. It's not going to make a big difference. With that being said, let's start with number 3 in the West when it comes to contenders. I'm going to say the Golden State Warriors. Yes, the Warriors at the 10 seed, being 13-13 to me, are still a contender. This is how bad the West is this year, with all the things considered, man. I know the Pelicans, the 1 seed in the West right now, had a good run last year when it comes to just challenging other teams, and they took the Suns to 6. But I don't think they have that type of pedigree to go deep at all. The Warriors, they have Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry is having another great season, and yeah, the stats speak for itself. Stephen Curry this season averaging 30 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists on 66% true shooting percentage. He's having another one hell of a season. I mean, it seems like he has the best point guard peak season almost every year. With that being said, the rest around the Warriors that is not Stephen Curry isn't the best. Jordan Poole off the bench this year has been quite miserable, very mediocre player. In a starting role, he's been averaging 20 points, but he doesn't start. Klay Thompson does. And Klay Thompson, don't even get me started on inconsistency. That guy's had one ugly season, to say the least. All right, let's move to the next team in the West that I think is a contender, but just by a little bit, the Denver Nuggets. Now, if you know, the Denver Nuggets are my favorite team, but by no means do I think we're winning a championship this year. I think that when it comes to actually winning the championship, it's all up to the East this year because the West is looking sorrier than it's ever looked. Okay, so when it comes to offensive efficiency, the Denver Nuggets are one of the best teams in the league by far. When it comes to field goal percentage, they're number 1 in the league. When it comes to three-point made, they're 9th in the league. When it comes to three-point percentage, they're 2nd in the league. They are one of the best shooting teams and best offensive teams in the league when it comes to efficiency. However, they just have not been putting it together. If we look at the team leaders, it looks like another Jokic year. I mean, he's averaging the team in points, rebounds, and assists per game. But it's not been a down year for him, but he's just been less aggressive when it comes to scoring the ball. The real positives that I see from this team are their additions in the offseason and maybe another addition at the trade deadline when it comes to KCP and Bruce Brown. They both have been elite level role players this year and are not to be confused with anything else. So yeah, when it comes to the Nuggets, great offensive rating, they're 5th in the league. Defensive rating, they're 26. It's kind of been their problem since day one, is their whole defense. And it does happen when you're anchored by Nikola Jokic. But anyway, another positive that you can look at from this team is the spark plug in Bones Highland. Bones Highland has won his games this year. He won his games last year. His ability to just get hot and start shooting on a rampage has helped us a ton. So that's a positive. All right, and now moving on to the number 1 contender in the West to me is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, when it comes to the Grizzlies, I've never been too high on them when it comes to their team output in general, but I think that they just have one of the best players in the league that can kind of carry them. When it comes to the Memphis Grizzlies, they're all about depth, defense, and three-point shooting, all in which they're elite at, in my opinion. Although having one of the worst defenders in the world, Ja Morant, on the court most of the times, they make sure to have a top 10 defense every year, it seems like. This year, they're 6th in defensive rating, they're 9th in offensive rating. And yeah, they've had a pretty good season this year. Not as hot of a start as they did last year. I mean, the way they started last year was crazy. It was them and the Warriors just trying, like, fighting tooth and nail for that first seed most of the year. But yeah, I do have a lot of hope in the Memphis Grizzlies. They're not a championship caliber team to me, though. That'll be all up to the East teams. But yeah, they have a lot to be desired, but they're young, they're deep, they have good defense. They have everything they need to be a champion. they're just not the best team in the league. Let's keep it like that. All right, let's move on to the Eastern Conference. Let's start with number 3. Number 3, a sleeper team that was expected to improve this season because they got a big star, but not by too much, was Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, I had to cut out the part where I said Utah Jazz. My mind is still left in the past. Anyway, Donovan Mitchell is good enough to win you a couple games in the playoffs. We've seen him do it when in the bubble, although a lot of people don't count the bubble. He also did it against the Clippers. He's had some great playoff games, and he averages like 30-something in the playoffs. Maybe he's not been the most efficient scorer, but when you have a guy that is that aggressive on offense and is an above league average scorer, that's the guy who you want to take the shots. So I don't see a problem with him ball hogging at all. However, in this new system that he is in, when it comes to more offensive talent, he should take it down a notch, but I think Darius Garland and Jared Allen are such good off-ball players that it really doesn't matter. I'm not going to act like Darius Garland is an elite off-ball player, but he is good enough to suffice. But yeah, their three-point shooting is promising. Although they have some people underperforming like Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, and Kevin Love, all of those players, if they do end up becoming themselves, that just makes them that much stronger of a team. But they're not stronger than number 2. At number 2, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. Why are the Milwaukee Bucks always in contending conversations? It's because of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Don't get it twisted. It's only because of him. Because look, when we look at it on the surface, Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday are either hurt or inconsistent in the playoffs. Why can we depend on them to take us far? Just because of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Look, Jrue Holiday, good player in the playoffs. Chris Middleton, solid, inconsistent, has had some horrible years in the past in the playoffs. But I'd say that he's a solid playoff player at this point. Anyway, they have spotty three-point shooting. Their defensive rating this year has been pretty good, but not the best. And yeah, I just think Giannis Antetokounmpo is obviously the best player in the league and good enough to take your team to certain levels. So yeah, we'll see if that works out. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks at number 2. All right, now at number 1, the Boston Celtics. They are by far the best team in the league to me. Right now, they're 21-5. 21-5. We haven't seen that good of a record or a start to the season since the Bucks had that good of a start to a season back in the bubble year. It was 2019, 2020, something like that. Anyway, they're doing this by having the 2 best wings in the league with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Not 2 best as in they're the best wings, but 2 of the best. They have very consistent defense, although it's not showing right now because they say they're the 15th ranked defense. That's a lie. We all know at full strength and at full health, the Celtics are a top 3 defense every single season. Anyway, their defensive versatility too is amazing in the playoffs. What type of players go off in the playoffs? Players that are a walking mismatch. And when you are versatile enough to guard everybody else that's not that walking mismatch, it makes it a lot harder on players. That's why last year when Kevin Durant played the Celtics, they got completely shut down. Because the Celtics made sure to shut down Kevin Durant. But they also made sure to shut down every other player in that series. There wasn't one player that series besides maybe Bruce Brown that was going off. And in the first place, if Bruce Brown is going off against your team, you take it for what it is. That guy is not a primary scorer. So it's just a luck of the draw when it comes to his offensive consistency in that series. Anyway, they've been there, they've done that. Maybe they don't have a championship on their resume, but they're going to get one this year. And yeah, they are resilient as hell in the playoffs. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been in the playoffs since LeBron was on the Cavs. Like, they've been in the playoffs for a long time. So, yeah, the Celtics are my number 1 contender and my favorites to win the chip. But all that will be for another video. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, follow my Twitter in the bio. And yeah, peace out.
Hey, come on, I got a bag on me. You try to take it, leave you stinking like your last homie. She kinda cakey, little baby, put that ass on me. But I ain't that horny, do you got some cash for me? Why every time you ask him that, bitches act funny. And you keep trying to hold the strap, you won't slap for me. You too happy, I can tell you never had money. Every time you get on live, gotta flash money.